Have you ever wondered why, no matter how well you play the game, it still doesn't feel right? Why you follow every rule, match every silence, mirror every move, yet something in your spirit still feels out of rhythm? Maybe it's because you were never made for the wind. You were made for gravity. We live in an age of cross breezes, half replies, delayed messages, breadcrumb attention, curated indifference. The dating marketplace has become a performance of scarcity, where wanting looks like winning and exhaustion looks like connection. People chase each other through illusions, mistaking adrenaline for love. But you, chosen one, were not made to chase. You were built to hold center. Without realizing it, you have become a small planet in an age of kites. Kites make a show of being free, but their freedom depends on weather. Planets don't follow the wind. They create seasons. They bring order, not noise. The feminine knows the difference before she names it. She doesn't call it gravity. She calls it ease. Because gravity doesn't chase. It doesn't tease. It doesn't threaten departure to get attention. It coheres. It deepens. It pulls what's real into alignment and lets what's false drift away. You carry that gravity when you speak truth without suspense, when you keep promises that fit inside your calendar, when you decline with dignity instead of guilt. You follow up without forcing, initiate without leverage, love without manipulation. It may not look exciting, but adrenaline fades. Gravity renews itself. Around you, the body begins to exhale. Walls drop. History relaxes. What once braced for chaos learns stillness again. The feminine feels this before she can explain it, not in her thoughts, but in her breath. Because safety, when consistent, becomes attraction. Calm becomes chemistry. Games burn out. Gravity grows. Games are sprints that end in exhaustion. Gravity is rhythm. It teaches pace. You know when to move and when to pause. You let desire speak honestly and endings close cleanly. That rhythm is power that has learned peace. It turns sparks into warmth, chemistry into conversation, conversation into continuity. Gravity doesn't wait. It signals. It lives a truth so steady that wandering hearts remember what they were meant to orbit. You live meaning even when no one sees. You create without applause. You rest before depletion. You keep purpose beyond the stage. You carry friendships that tell you truth. You are heavier than your image. And while others imitate style, they cannot fake weight. Weight is earned through consistency. Games treat people like puzzles. Gravity treats them like guests. Your presence invites, not demands. Your curiosity holds space instead of pressure. Your humor never costs someone else their dignity. And because of that, women who've lived in survival finally breathe. Their posture changes. Their guard drops. Their spirit whispers, "This one is safe." In your orbit, cruelty grows expensive and clarity becomes cheap. Apologies lead to change. Delays aren't tests. Silence isn't punishment. You don't drain energy. You restore it. Anxiety leaves. Rest returns. And though they may never name it, their bodies remember you as peace. To keep gravity pure, you maintain mass. And mass is simple. Sleep that calms you, water that cools you, movement that keeps resentment soft, counsel that checks your certainty, silence that rebalances your soul. You prune what doesn't belong. You refuse to turn mystery into marketing or chaos into currency. You stop letting strangers set the tempo of your attention. These small refusals become roots. Roots hold what storms cannot. Yes, the world will tempt you to turn your calm into a tactic, to ration warmth so others chase it. Don't. You might win a moment and lose your soul. Real magnetism isn't built on manipulation, it's built on meaning. You didn't study angles. You became alignment. You didn't learn charm. You practiced truth. That is your circle. Circles hold. Chaos collapses. You know gravity is working when people leave you more themselves than when they met you. Softer, clearer, freer. You may not see them again. That's not failure. Planets don't hoard satellites. They trust the heavens to do the math. What belongs nearby will stay. What belongs elsewhere will still carry your pull. That is legacy. Be heavier than the wind. Not rigid, but faithful. Not dull, but steady. When trends shift, you won't need to reinvent yourself. You'll just need to remain true. The planet doesn't redraw itself for every comet. It keeps time with the same star. When you enter a room, something ancient in every nervous system asks, is this presence taking or giving? And without a word, your energy answers. You move at a pace that doesn't make others guess. You reply before imagination turns silence into pain. You arrive when you said you would. You speak in proportion. Your voice doesn't recruit the room to manage your weather. In a world that confuses chaos with aliveness, your steadiness feels like oxygen. Her body knows it first. Her eyes stop scanning because yours aren't a hunt. You see without claiming. You focus without fastening. Your attention is not a net. It's a lamp. Lamps don't trap. They reveal. Under your light, she can see herself clearly. The body calls that permission. The mind will later name it trust. Even your stance speaks. Not forward like conquest. Not backward like withdrawal. But balanced like a bridge. And bridges aren't noticed until they're needed. Then they're everything. A clear boundary. A visible line. A consistent tone. These are architecture. They make intimacy inhabitable. The body feels safe enough to exhale all the way. Even your anger knows its place. It heals without harm. It cauterizes without burning. You fix conditions instead of wounding people. Justice without spectacle teaches the nervous system that tomorrow will be safer than today. Your yes carries presence. Your no carries peace. Both are believable. That's the foundation of trust. She notices the smallest details. The warmth of your laugh, the space you make at the door, the calm in your voice. Each one tells her body, you can rest. Relief might not look dramatic, but it's holy. It's where real desire begins. Not the frantic kind, but the kind that can survive daylight. You don't perform gravity. You live it. You become weather that keeps its promises. No sudden frost. No strangling wind. Enough light. Enough shade. You don't coax softness out of anyone. You remove the reasons it hid. In your presence, femininity stops performing and starts returning home. You are not theater. You are climate. You protect what's real. You create conditions where beauty feels safe enough to grow. You will not be praised for this. But blossoms don't bloom for applause. They bloom because the weather kept its word. Let that be your quiet pride. You don't ask her to be easy. You ask her to be honest. Some days, her strength leads. You don't compete. Other days, her softness leads. You don't consume. Freedom, not control, is the soil where love survives. You choose warmth that lasts over fire that fades. You ask, invite, clarify, respect. You end while tenderness still has strength. You praise precisely, receive humbly, and leave gently. These are holy manners. invisible, but unforgettable. The proof of your presence appears after you leave. Her laughter softens, her breath deepens, her pace slows. She forgives herself faster. She feels alive again, not from adrenaline, but from peace. That's gravity in human form. You keep this climate steady with quiet rituals. Rest before exhaustion, gratitude before ego, prayer before pride. You train for gentleness when no one's watching. And when the wind returns, you don't become a kite. You remain a planet. Because gravity doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It just needs to be true. Be heavier than the wind. Not heavy with pride, but with purpose. Not heavy with control, but with care. Be so consistent that others find their rhythm near your calm. Be so faithful that your peace becomes contagious. And when someone whispers that they felt safer dreaming about the future because of an hour in your presence, accept the message quietly. Smile, breathe, and return to your orbit. Because there is still more to grow. You may be told you awakened something, as if you performed a miracle too large for who you believe you are. Accept the compliment, but understand it clearly. You didn't create the awakening. You protected the space where it could happen by itself. Flowers never thank the spring. They bloom because the season stayed faithful, because the cold finally respected its boundary. Do the same. Guard your season. Protect your boundary. Refuse the noise of drama when what is needed is steadiness. The world doesn't need more storms. It needs people who can stay calm and trustworthy in their warmth. When she blossoms near you, when her voice softens, when her laughter loses its armor, when her creativity rises and meets joy, don't rush to define it or claim it as proof of your goodness. Let it be what it is. A quiet miracle that happened in your light. Your task remains the same as it always was: to keep the light honest, the air gentle, the shade safe, and the door soft when it closes. Then step aside and watch the most sacred thing of all. A person finally safe enough to become herself in the atmosphere you tended with care. Chosen one. The truest measure of safety isn't what happens while you're there, but what remains after you leave. Fireworks impress in a moment, but a hearth keeps warmth long after the crowd is gone. You are becoming that hearth. The evidence of your presence shows up in small ways. A schedule with more breathing room, a message that doesn't need to be sent, a laugh that returns without effort. People won't mention your name when these mercies occur, but they'll breathe easier. That ease is your echo. Your echo is what happens when your absence feels like your presence. You didn't perform empathy and vanish into cleverness. You left with the same grace you entered. Your goodbye wasn't a cliff, but a path that led others home to themselves. When someone later looks for hidden costs and finds none, their relief turns into belief, and belief into rest. Rest becomes trust, and trust builds a home where fear can no longer shout through the walls. Your echo appears in choices you never see. She chooses nourishment over numbness because your company didn't require anesthesia. She tells the truth because your clarity taught her that comfort without honesty isn't peace. The habits of safety are small. When people leave you wanting to live simply and kindly, your beauty has outlived your appearance. Even the air carries proof. A room holds your temperature. Humor needs no victim. Kindness asks for no witness. And respect no longer hides control. People mirror your cadence without realizing it. They end on time because you did. They bless the absent because you once did. They write the message that saves someone worry because you taught timing by example. Love like yours becomes weather. It changes what grows. You've been loyal to a love that makes being human less costly. Aftercare has no stage. You practice it by choosing clarity over mystery, presence over performance. You don't disappear to seem deep. You keep lines open just as far as truth requires. When something ends, you end it cleanly. When it continues, you return with the same clean hand you left with. The echo that follows you is one no algorithm can copy. You are safe to be near and safe to be away from. Those who have lived in alertness feel the difference. On nights after you, their shoulders drop, their breath steadies. Their memory doesn't need repair. Safety becomes affordable again, not as a prize for perfection, but as a natural right. You'll never hear her announce it, but she will live it. That is your legacy, the echo born of coherence, not performance. You kept your inner furniture steady. Your kindness didn't turn into theater. Your boundaries didn't collapse under desire. Your curiosity never became control. Because you remained consistent, people trust both your distance and your nearness. They don't need stories to protect themselves from you. The story tells itself. He kept the hours safe, so the hours after him could be safe too. This echo spreads quietly. Friends, sisters, elders ask in whispers, did you have to heal afterward? Did tomorrow come with a cost? When the answers lean toward ease, your name becomes shorthand for relief. You won't hear most of these conversations, and you don't need to. Trust grows privately, not publicly. You build it the unfashionable way, by paying attention on time. And when failure comes, you repair quietly. You change what caused harm instead of seeking applause. A clean repair says being wrong here didn't ruin us. Safety that survives correction is the only kind worth building. Walk away from each hour as if someone you love will inherit it. Leave it arranged, kind, and unweaponized. The echo will move through others, returning courage to their breath, softening rooms long after memory forgets you. Security isn't just comfort for now. It's a covenant with the unseen. Every act of decency is a letter to the future, where dignity is affordable and fear rare. You may think you're simply being kind for today, but you're setting precedent for tomorrow. That precedent is how trust survives storms. The oath begins with breath. Let breath lead voice, not the other way around. A man who breathes before he speaks won't use harm to feel alive. He'll speak at a temperature his soul can survive and listen long enough to hear the real question beneath the noise. The future doesn't read your resume. It reads your breath. It listens for whether your voice stays safe when you're tired, when you're praised, when you're opposed. Let it hear yes. Protect the margins so care can live without spectacle. Arrive early enough for kindness to keep its posture. Say yes only when tomorrow can afford it. These choices will not trend, but they will endure. They teach the future it will not have to heal from your urgency. That is your quiet calling, to leave spaces, time, and people better than you found them. To be the reason peace feels possible again. To become the kind of presence whose absence still keeps the air kind. And one day, when others speak of you, they won't recall the noise or the spectacle. They'll remember the calm. They'll say, he kept the hours safe. And that is the quiet legacy that outlives everything else.